This is another Infosol production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of The Male Perspective. This is where we talk about all things from the male perspective. We talk about sex, woo woo. We talk about spirituality, woo woo. And we talk about entrepreneurship. So tonight's topics, I'm pretty excited. Got a couple of great brothers on the panel tonight. D.Lyel, I don't know if you're still there, but you look like you're frozen. So we're gonna need you to unthaw. And there we go. Good deal. And so we're gonna jump in with some introductions, talk about who's on point. But tonight's topic is how to respond to a spiritual name change. You heard me? How to respond. Good. To a spiritual name change. So first up, I'm going to have my man, y'all look here, and I'm going to give y'all a warning. Michael McGee is a clown. So y'all just get ready. So Mike, if you were to have a theme song, I want you to first play that theme song and then tell us why you chose it, and then tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
All right. When you asked me to choose a theme song, and I didn't even have to think about it, it was KRS-One, Boogie Down Production, My Philosophy. Go ahead, play a little bit of it.
Okay. Why'd you should have just played it, bro? See, now I ain't got no. Now you took away the suspense.
I think very deeply. All right. I think we lost our other friend.
Let me hear it though. Let me pump it up. Man, you didn't play it. Let me get some of that.
I think very deeply.
Playing like instructions to a game. That would be my theme song for sure. I was gonna put Mystical the Man Right Chia, but those are more of my clubbing days, so we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, all right.
So
hit us up. Why is that the theme song?
Why that theme song? Well, first of all,
yeah.
If you know, man, when I was listening to that song probably in the 9th or 10th grade, probably 87, 88, around there. Man, if you ever listen to that song, he's saying what's real. You know what I mean? We need to learn. You don't know this because you won't learn. He's talking about he doesn't eat pork, about his well-being, and he doesn't cuss. And the song is still, I could still rock that song now. I still play that song. There's some of these rappers I listen to. I don't listen to rap anymore, but when I hear it in someone's car and I hear all this mumbling and stuff, he's talking about you guys just sell records because you're just producing it and they don't care. And so, he's talking about my philosophy, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. And I always thought that, I looked up to KRS-One when he dropped that song. So I'm about knowledge. I'm going to be about being less ignorant. So it's always been a song. If I start playing it, I know all the words and I'll start dancing immediately. So that's why I thought about it right away.
All right. Cool. All right. Tell everybody a little about yourself.
Well, I am Michael, the Prophet Dreamer, prophetdreamer.com. I'm also Michael at bigmuddyfishing.com. If anyone knows me, I fish. I love to fish. I like being in nature. I like sitting in my boat. I like being on the fishing bank with my kids. If I didn't have to work and pay mortgages and car notes, I'd be a professional fisherman. God said be a fisher of men. So I've reached a lot of people through fishing, So bigmuddyfishing.com, or you can reach me at prophetdreamer.com.
Cool. Appreciate it. Woo, 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 woo. All right. Next on the mic is my man D.Lyel.
Hey, what's
All right.
up? What's up, everybody?
All right. Go ahead and tell us about your theme song and why.
All right. I couldn't get it to work. I don't know if it's because I have the app or not, but my theme song has just recently changed. I'm using The Mantra by Kendrick Lamar and Pharrell. It's off the Creed 2 soundtrack. The reason why I'm using that as my theme song is because Kendrick Lamar was spitting that stuff that just made you have to think about yourself twice. He said, I was down bad and the light switched. So he was talking about the situation where he was going through some situations, and then it dawned on him that something, that he could get himself out of that situation. It don't get any realer than that. We always going through something.
Right. That's what's up. I like it. Give it up. All right, people. Listen here. So for those of you who are watching, this is the Male Perspective, where we talk about all things sex, spirituality, and entrepreneurship from the male perspective. If you don't know me, I am Timothy Moore. I am a coach of perspective, and vision. I help entrepreneurs, small business owners create a clear statement of vision so that you can break through barriers and live the life that you can dream. So that's what I do. That's what it's about. So let's get into it on tonight, the Male Perspective. And let me just give a little background. So D and I, we were having a conversation the other day, just got to chopping it up, and it was like, okay, both was going through some similar things in terms of what we were calling ourselves and how we saw ourselves going forward and in the future. And man, the conversation just went, and it was pretty powerful. It was like, okay, we need to take this conversation online and just talk about when you start going through a name change. Now, I'm going to start out with this. So in Genesis, God brought Adam animals, brought them all animals, right? And what they had were forms. They had a form, but what they were called had not been given yet, nor what they were named. So he said, all right, Adam, this is on you. I want you to call it what it's going to be, and I want you to name it. So as we're talking tonight, I want everybody to think about what you are calling yourself and what you are naming yourself.
That's good.
Are y'all with me on this?
Yeah.
Are you with me on this? And so I feel like as men, and I just me personally, what I called myself back in the day and what I'm calling myself now is huge. And as you start making that transition, it's kind of uncomfortable. It's like, and real simple. So I'm gonna stop right there. So Lyel, D, I want you to kind of respond to that that framework.
Okay, awesome. That was a good setup because you're right. Adam did name all the animals what he wanted to call them, and that's what they were called to this very day. But take a couple of steps further, there was a point also in Genesis when Jacob was running away from Esau, his brother, and while he was running away, he came across the angel of the Lord, and the angel of the Lord, and he wrestled with this angel, thinking that it was an actual man. But so when the angel got done with that wrestling match, he said that your name will no longer be called Jacob, because as a man you have power with God, so you're going to be called Israel. And then we fast forward to the New Testament where Jesus Christ was having a conversation with Simon Peter. He said, who do you say that I am? And he said, I think you are God. You're the Son of Man. He said, well, for that purpose, I'm gonna build my rock. He said, your name will no longer be called Simon, but you're going to be Peter, because upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And then the third example that I have to tag along with that one, man, is in the book of Acts, when Saul, the persecutor, when he was running around through the countries and he was persecuting all of the Christians, God had came to him and said, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he was actually on his way to actually to kill a bunch of Christians anyway. So that never happened, because God had came down and he said, I'm going to use this man to become my apostle. So as you know, Saul's name was changed to Paul, and he started doing the work of the Lord from that point forward. So at first he was killing God's people, and then when God came to him and took his name, and changed his identity, put a work to him, changed his identity, and then he came back and started doing, and he came back as a different person. He came back as a different identity, So the name change, the spiritual name change, is also telling you that you got to do something different. You got to do something better. Because when you go back to Peter, I told you, God said he was going to build his rock, he was going to build his church on there, and it was going to be a rock. It was going to be strong. But also with Jacob, Jacob's name, the word Jacob originally meant to supplant. So we know that God had chose him to be the father, father of many nations. So he had to change his name from being a supplanter to being a man of power. So the name change definitely it not only gives you character, but it also gives you direction.
I like that. That's good right there. The name change gives you character and direction. Very good. Like that. All right. Mike, hit us up. What you got?
So I'm gonna change my own name, because I like Michael over Mike, but I'll let that go. I was listening to what the brother was just saying about Jacob, Paul, and Peter. So I won't, like I told you earlier, I see this brother. He knows the Bible. I'm kind of Christian light. And I want to talk about maybe when God changed my name. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, like when I go out in North Omaha or the barber shop, people always call me Money Mike. And I don't even like the name Mike. I want 2 syllables, Michael, right? But I kind of go by that moniker. But what I don't like about that name is I think the love of money is the root of all kinds of evils. And that comes from the Bible. But I call myself Michael, the prophet dreamer. And so now that we're sitting here talking, I'm just wondering, did I give myself that name, or did God give myself that name? But I've always worried about that name, and I own that domain, so I'm sticking with it for the time being. I have a YouTube channel around that. But when people hear prophet, they automatically think money, right? But it's profitable for you to know the Lord. It's profitable for you to take your wife out on date nights. It's profitable for you to leave your kids an inheritance. So it's not always about money. And that's my thought when I chose that name, Michael, the prophet dreamer, I just thinking, like, when Abram's name got changed to Abraham, if I think I got that right. It's a shift. It's God setting you on a different path. And when God, and I hope it's God, because we say God did this, but sometimes it's us saying God did it, and we don't know, right? And it's not like I woke up in the middle of the night and God was at the foot of my bed and he blinded me like he blinded Saul on the way to Damascus, when God changes your name, he's changing your character. He's changing how you act. He's changing your thought process. It's just not because he doesn't like your name. It's because he wants you to change. He's giving you a name because he's changing who you are, and he wants you to go from this path onto this new path. And your original question was about kind of our name change. So for me, when God changed my name to Michael, the prophet dreamer, I immediately ended up at the verse where he's saying, what's the most important commandment in the law? What's the most profitable commandment in the law? love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And that's what I started focusing on, and that's what he did when he changed my name. So I'm about love.
That's good, bro. That's
Yeah.
good. That's fire right there, man.
So
And that's,
let's dig into that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to say it's funny that you said that, brother.
Yeah.
The thing is that when I changed the name of my business, I changed it to Muscle House Fitness to serve that actual same scripture. Mark 12:29 is talked about loving the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, mind. But in that particular scripture, that I added the word strength. So muscle represented the strength, and then house was 1 Corinthians chapter 6:19. It talked about knowing that your body is a temple of God. So when I actually changed the name, from D.Lyel's Fitness to Muscle House Fitness Center, that's the reason why I did that. So we're on the same page when it came to that scripture.
Yeah. So let me I don't know, I don't want to deviate, but I want to tell you about that scripture. I was raised in the church. I was raised in a single family house. The opposite of everyone else. My dad had custody of him. My dad never went to church. I don't ever remember seeing him in church. There was never any talk about Jesus Christ, in our house, right? And then, when I got a little job and had a little change, of course, and we are talking about the male perspective. I'm going to be brutally honest here. People may not like it, but it's the truth, right? I had a little change. I need to get me, a little side. I need to get me a woman. You know what I mean? And so I was like,
Yeah.
So I was like, where's the best place to, a decent woman? And my definition of decent is different than when I was doing this, right? So I'm going to go down to Salem Baptist Church. It's got to be a bunch of black women in there. I'm just being honest, just being honest. This was 30 some years ago, maybe, right? And then I said, well, if I'm going to do this Christian thing, I better read this book, right? And I'm a software developer by trade, so everything with me is black or white. It's 0 or 1. Tim knows what I'm talking about. It's true or false, right? When I read the Bible, and this lawyer came down to Jesus and was like, he's trying to be slick. He's like, Master, what is the greatest commandment in the law? And there's several versions of this, because one time he tells him, you tell me, but then another Jesus tells him, right? And he says, love God with all thy heart, soul, and mind. And the second is like unto it. You could almost say it's equal. The second is like unto it. Love thy neighbor as thyself, right? He said, and on this hang all the laws and prophets. Hang everything on this. So I'm literal. I'm like, oh, well, that's the most important thing I should do. That's number one thing I should do. So when someone's telling me, well, you need to be talking in tongues and all this other stuff, and they're telling me all this other stuff, but I'm like, but do we do the one and number two thing that he said do? And so that's how I came up with that. I'm like, if I'm not doing that, then I can't. All that other stuff means nothing to me. So if you're telling me that I have to do communion on a certain day, and I can't eat pork, and I have to do all this other stuff, and you don't love people, I'm not listening to you. It's just that's how I roll.
I can know that.
Yeah, that's why Tim calls me a clown, because he knows I just say it. That's where that came from for me. And so that's what I do. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So now, go ahead, D.
Oh no, I was just saying that's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah. So that was a lot. You said a whole book exhortation with that right there, which I knew you would, and I love it because people, we need those straight shooters right there, just black and white. Like I don't see nothing. But I want to kind of guide this, even just for just dealing with that name change. I mean, both of y'all said the same thing in terms of when your name starts to change, then that is character and direction. So, D, can you talk about just that journey when? And I'm gonna say another piece that I think is real powerful, and I want you to incorporate this is identity. So that's the other piece of the name change. And so I want you to talk about that. Who you saw yourself as at one stage in your life, and then how you want it to be known as, especially on the street. If you had a name on the street, that tied to your identity, whether somebody gave it to you or you gave it to yourself. So just talk about your journey of transitioning to being called something different.
All right, you want me to start?
Yep, that's for you.
Okay, cool. All right, so I kind of got blessed, man. My mom was in the military, man. So when I was in 5th grade, I actually moved out of Nebraska. I moved to Virginia, and I lived in Virginia for a few years, and then I kind of bounced back and forth. So I didn't really get out there to the street when I came back to Nebraska because I had seen so much and I've been through so much, and my journey had changed and transitioned a whole lot from the time I was a child. Now, before 5th grade, I was definitely headed in that direction because that was during the time when we were really bringing gang violence and gang relationships to Omaha. In the late 80s, early 90s. We were really kind of getting that thing up and running. But once I moved to Virginia, that took me away from all of that. So it kind of gave me an opportunity to not get into the streets. But in that process of time, I went through a bunch of different name changes. It was Dan, Danny, you know what I mean? It was D.Lyel 300, it was D.L 300, but all these names had different representations, But as my journey grew and as I got older, I started realizing that part of my name process was, the titles that was actually attached to me as well, like private first class, when I was in the Army, barber, cosmetologist, sales consultant, and the list goes on and on. And even spent the time dealing with a church that ended up being more like a cult. You know what I mean? And even in that, we had a name change going on. It was a Hebrew word that's supposed to represent the strength and compassion, but I don't think that's who I am. But that wasn't. I don't think the name was who I was. You know what I mean? So God pulled me out of all of that. And now here I am. I went through 30 plus years of my life as an employee. Working from 9 to 5, working overtime, working 10 to 9, and just trying to work these different jobs to be to make ends meet and to fit in. But COVID, it changed me, man, because I had my business for over a year. I've been an independent contractor for a little bit longer than that. But something told me, he said, yo, this is a business that you run, quit trying to take ownership of it and just work it and run it. So the main change went from being a self-employed to being the CEO of my company, being an entrepreneur. So that change, had to look at that and make that shift in that world. Like I said, that just came up in the time, just having the time to just sit back and reflect and think about what's going on in the world that we in today. I can't lie. I can't say that the business has gone in the way that I wanted it to go the entire year that it's been open, but it's probably because I wasn't who I needed to be during that time that the gym has been open. So the divinity in all of this had came into play when I realized that in order for me to become the person that I need to become, I have to accept who I am and actually accept the fact that I'm somebody that I'm not, not the person that I see, but the person that God had chosen me to be. So it just took a deeper approach, a deeper turn to that. You know what I mean? It kind of goes back to which I think Michael was saying this earlier when he was explaining his name about the prophet dreamer. One of the things I have realized is that we set the wrong tone for ourselves, because what happens is a lot of times when we set goals, we don't set goals about who we need to become. We set goals on things that we need to do.
Wait.
Lose ourselves.
Hold up. Right there. Because you're speaking the language of vision. Right there. That's what that was. I want you to hone in on that a little bit more. You said what now? We're speaking. We set goals based on what?
I said when we set goals for ourselves, we usually set goals on the things that we want to do in life. We don't normally set the goals on who we need to become in life. You know, we will
That's
set
deep.
instead of setting the goal of becoming financially independent and freeing up my time, you know, by becoming an entrepreneur, so that way I can travel the world and speak to millions of people and help millions of people. I say I want to travel the world. You know, that's very open. That's very open. That's something that you want to do. But what are you going to do to be able to travel the world? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? What are you willing to do in order to be able to travel the world? You know, you have to become somebody. You got to become somebody different within yourself in order for you to actually be the person that you need to be in order to do the things you want to do.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
So I think that's deep. I'm gonna have to write that down because I'm very much a goal person, and it's all like stuff I need to do. But like maybe I should be like, I want to travel the world to do this or whatever it is, so that God can be glorified in it. Like and because He's the one who changed my name, so He must have something that He wants done. And maybe I need to be like, I need to get this business going so I can support this charity and God be glorified in it. Or I need to be more attuned to my wife's needs so God can be glorified
Yeah,
in my marriage. You know what I mean? You
Absolutely.
know, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, maybe, and so a lot of times we do stuff because it's something we want, but like, how is that? Like, God's like, well, that ain't helping me. It's kind of like my YouTube channel. I'm going to make this video so I'll get 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 views. God don't care about my subscribers and views. How is that helping Him? you
Right.
know, because I might change one person, and that person might change a million people, and I may only get the one.
Absolutely.
He do the millions. I feel that, brother. Yep.
Right. You know, it's funny that everything you just said,
Yeah.
it just came to fruition with I was reading a passage this morning. It actually wasn't even scriptures, but the scriptures followed up with the passage. But it said when we said in who goes, you know, uh, it was examples of that also in the Bible, where uh, Jesus, when in John, the book of John, they said there was times where Jesus Christ was, when people would come to him and say, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the light. You know, whoever believes in me shall not perish but have everlasting life. I am the door. Whoever believes in me will never die. Or I am the truth and the light." So he gave you these different examples, and then he told you why he is who we say he was. Because whoever believes, whoever. So basically, what he was saying was, if you understand that I'm the person that I am, because I'm that person, you believe in me, you're going to benefit from this. You're going to benefit from that belief
Yeah.
because you believe in me. You know, when we open up our businesses, when we pursue ourselves, when we pursue our dreams, that's something that we have to start doing for more for people. And I think the wealthy already got it. You know what I mean? I think the wealthy already got it. Some of them, you know, I ain't gonna lie to say that they all got it, but some of them got it already. You know, they know that if they're gonna be a light in the world, the only way that they're gonna do it is if they become the person they need to become. You know what I'm saying? If they become
exactly.
the person they need to become, that way they can go out and actually do the things so that the people that are following them or they leading the pack on, they're going to actually be able to benefit from that purpose.
Exactly. And that's that whole no identity. Then you're able to acquire your vision. And so, kind of going back to that thing, when you don't know who you are, when you think you're one thing, when you feel as if you're something, you begin to move according to who you see yourself as being. But then there's that transition where you start looking at yourself in a completely different way. You start feeling yourself having a call or a pull in a direction that feels a lot more comfortable to where you're going. That's that identity. And then being able to say, okay, this is who I'm becoming. Now I need to write the vision and make it plain so that when I read it, I can execute, I can run. So it's not just one of I'm knocking off goals, but no, I'm creating a vision and then goals that align to the vision. So I'm not getting to a place where I'm finite. You see, the vision is infinite. It continues to go on and on and on and on and on, and you shoot it out there. But then when you have a goal, you knock that off a list, and now you're kind of like, what's next? And so it's the power of acquiring that collision and then understanding your identity as it relates to your vision. Very powerful thing. And then what happens? That's that transitioning. Oh, well, shoot, my name needs to change. You know, the name of my business needs to change. I thought my business was going to be X, Y, and Z, but as I evolve as a person, or as we evolve, well, the business is going to have to evolve with it, because, you know, you are your business. Powerful. I think that's
100.
good. So Mike, you know, one thing, D, we were talking about, so what about, were you ever called Danny?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Talk about that. Danny, Dan, and Daniel.
All right. So the only person that calls me Dan is my mom and maybe a small circle of her friends. The only person that ever called me Danny was my uncle and my ex-wife. And then Daniel is what I have everybody else call me. You know, especially when people meet me, they say, is it Dan, Danny, or Daniel? It's like, it's Daniel, you know. But in the gym, you know, it's D.Lyel. You know, when I'm in the gym, I'm in a different mode. Call me D.Lyel, my first initial last name. You know, so that's how people identify me in the gym and, you know, when I work in my workplace. But the feelings that I had behind those, what I realized was Danny did not give you the same meaning as Daniel did. You know, I used to hate my name, man. Trust me. You know, I used to hate my name. You know, I'm gonna speak to you from the perspective of me being a black man. I thought it was a white boy's name. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, but I didn't know the value of my name. You know, it's funny because I actually got my son in here with me right now. His name is Daniel II. So I hated my name so much. But at the end of the day, when I realized the power in the name, the first thing I did was I took my oldest son and I named him after me. You know, but the thing is that we don't call him Junior. You know, somebody asked me about that too. I was like, don't ever call my son Junior. Matter of fact, his name is not even Daniel Lavelle Lyle Jr. It's actually Daniel Lyle II, because I always wanted him to have his own identity as well. You know, but I also wanted him to understand that he was a man and he had power, and the only person that could judge him was the Lord himself.
It's funny that you say that. I have a son. He's only 5. It's my second child, but it's my firstborn son. And I could have named him, you know, Junior or Michael II, but I named him after my dad. So he's Curtis Wade McGee II, right? And like sometimes people will be asking my wife, what's his name? And she'll be Curtis Wade McGee, and I always jump in the second, you know, because you need to know that I honored my dad in that way, right? And you know, and especially in our community where fathers are sometimes, black men have the stereotype of not taking care of their fathers. So I wouldn't have named my son after somebody who didn't take care of his kids, right? And so I always make sure, no, the second, you know, make sure you get that in there. And I press that on him, you know, and I don't regret it, but I still wanted a Michael, but I was like, I'm gonna leave it alone, you know. So two's enough, you know.
That's an honor to your dad, though, man.
Yeah. It drove my mom crazy. Yeah, she didn't like that I did that, but I was like, when you start paying bills,
imagine
over here,
that.
Yeah, when you start paying bills over here, then you can. Even then, you ain't changing nobody's name.
Hey, you never know. She might just pay the phone me just so she can make some rules up in there.
Nah. It's gonna have to be mortgage. It's got to be mortgage level.
I was like, give me your Sprint bill. So you said when you pay for bills, give me your Sprint bill.
That's good. That's good. Again, everyone who's watching, this is the Male Perspective. We're talking about how to respond when you go through a spiritual name change. So if you have questions for the gentleman on the panel, if you want to know what's going on and a little deeper, go ahead and drop your comments, drop your thoughts in the panel. We want to know. And even for this, have you ever been through a spiritual name change where you felt a call that you needed, your identity was changing, and so therefore your name needed to change? So look forward to your responses on that in the group. Michael, up next, talk. Is it Mike, Mikey, or Michael? Talk to us about those three names.
Only person that's ever called me Mikey. I'm not even going to mention her because I'm not married to her, so we're going to leave that be. Um, I do not. I put it this way. I respond to Mike, but I prefer Michael, and I like the two syllables. Also, Michael means, I think in Hebrew, people always get this wrong, but I have a Jewish friend. He's Christian though, but he's Jewish. It's an odd thing. Um, Michael actually means it's a question. People say people will tell you it's like who is like God, but that's not what it means. It's a question. It's a question. It's like who is like God. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that, but I prefer Michael. My mom named me after her brother. His name is Michael. I grew up during the Michael Jackson, off the wall. So when I was 3 years old, Michael was cool. It helps Michael Jordan. So I prefer Michael, but I respond to Mike. My email address actually has Mike in it, which I need to change, but so many people have it that it'd be foolish for me to change it now, and have to alert all the people I've changed my email because they didn't like Mike, but I just leave it alone. So does that answer your question, or? Yeah.
No, that's good.
You gotta give me a deeper one than that. That's a softball question there. Yeah.
No, I mean, we were talking in the beginning. You were like, "Man, I don't know if I've ever experienced a name change."
Yeah, I mean, and I've been thinking that's what's been going through my mind the whole time we've been talking. I don't. Maybe it's not a name change, but there's definitely was I can think of a definite shift when I changed. I don't know. I could tell you about that.
All right. So even talking about that, so when you started changing, that means were you discovering your identity?
Yeah,
or
I
new
definitely,
identity?
I definitely discovered my identity. Yeah, and I changed my behavior. It changed how I acted socially. It definitely changed how I treated women, and definitely, I definitely had some women issues, and so it changed how I thought about that. That stems from being, my story. If my dad got custody of me when I was in the third grade, that tells you all you need to know. Women don't get custody of their children. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna go on the story, but that'll tell you enough, right? And so that affected how I treated women. So that was something when I changed later in life that I started going the other direction.
All right, so let's uncover that a little bit.
Yeah.
So your dad raised you
Yep.
at 3, got
No,
custody of you.
he got custody in third grade. Yeah.
Third grade. So
Yeah.
obviously you got a single man
Yeah.
raising a son.
Yeah.
So we can all imagine what that might have been like as a boy growing up. And like you said, that shaped your perspective on women.
Yeah, it definitely shaped my perspective on women. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times, if that makes any sense. I mean, I was telling you this early, and I'm married and I see it in my wife. My wife don't let the kids go outside with their no snot running down their nose, or they got to be fresh. They always clothes are always ironed and pressed. Don't be taking my dirt babies out and let them get dirty. That's how women are. They're way more sensitive to kids' needs. If my daughter like wants to get out of doing something, she might be, oh, my stomach hurts, and my wife would be, oh, baby, come here, and I'd be like, stomach don't hurt, just don't want to do that homework. You know what I mean? Men are different. You know what I mean? So I didn't have that perspective. My dad was like, hey, Dad, I really want them Pepe jeans or Jabot jeans. That's what it was when I was growing up. Them $60, $70 Pep. That was a lot of money. And my dad was like, here's $5. You get some Wranglers from Kmart. So, I'm going to Nathan Hale with Wranglers from Kmart, and everybody else got Pepe jeans. You already know how that worked out. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
hated it. I hated it then, but it definitely made me. It it definitely made me a better man. And now that you said that, the people at work call me the Black Dave Ramsey. So there's a name change right there. So
Mm.
I'm very frugal. I'm like, yeah, hey, I have a 2002 car. I'm still driving it right now. That's
Wow.
how I roll. I don't want no car payment. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I feel
They
you.
still got four
So
wheels, right?
It still got four wheels. Yeah. Mhm.
look, driver till the rubber fall off.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you can buy new tires.
Yeah, I do that too. I just put struts on it last week. you know. You know.
Absolutely.
You know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So that's very powerful, Mike. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that. So even then, so was there a internal process that you've seen over time where you can literally say, you're no longer calling yourself in a certain way internally? Like, where did you stop seeing yourself as maybe the guy who doesn't like women or can't stand women or hate? Like, was it like you started, what was that transition mentally of, all right, I don't see women like that anymore, and maybe a new name associated with that?
Well, let's see. I'll tell you. I'll give you a defining moment. Magic Johnson got on TV and said that he was HIV positive. Right. That
Shut it
shut
down.
that shut everything down for me. I was like, oh, I ain't dying, right? And that shut everything down for me. And the one thing I did was, and there's people watching this, and I'm just gonna have to be brutally honest. And I assume my wife knows this. I'm someone saying your husband was on Facebook saying this stuff, but she knows this. You couldn't tell me nothing, right? I mean, look at me. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd, right? But I'm a software developer too. So you know what that means, right? That means the money came very, very early. I mean, at I had a house in my 20s, right? And I noticed all of a sudden these women start liking me. Like I had a house, right? And so all of a sudden everything changed, right? And so I'm
Right.
like, oh, I'm gonna take advantage of this. And the thing that I regret is that I took advantage of women that didn't even know me in high school, didn't even treat me badly when I was bummy and my dad wasn't getting my hair cut. But I just associated all of them. They're like, I didn't even go to high school. I didn't even know you. But I was like, nah, you can't tell me nothing. It's my way or the highway. To make a long story short, there were some trust issues because of what my mom did to my dad. So I was never gonna let that happen again, right? And so the whole Magic Johnson thing happened, and I was like, I better shut this down. And this show is about the male perspective, and I'm gonna say this very quickly. I shut it down so much that women started asking me if I preferred men, right?
Mm.
Because I didn't
Wow.
want to,
Mm.
because I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. They would come over, they was obviously coming over and offering, right? And I'm like, nah, I'm looking for a wife now, and I'm not doing none of that stuff no more. I'm shutting it down. You must be gay. I heard you were gay, and I'm like, I'm trying to do the right thing, and now I'm that, and I don't have any hate in my heart for anyone. That whatever your lifestyle, that's on you, right? I don't. That's not what my faith believes, but I don't. I love everyone, and so I was just like, I was like, man, I'm trying to do what's right. I'm trying to respect you, and so I just shut the whole thing down, man. I don't even know how long I was celibate. I was worried that I forgot how to do things. That's how long it was. And and the woman that I
Wow.
and the woman that I married, was her dad's a pastor, and she was untouched, right? So I was like, I got to get it. I got to get it right. But I had changed way before that. You know how you would meet someone and you would know right away that this isn't going to work out, but you would still date them. You would still go out and do things with them, right? I got to the point, this ain't going to work. I'm not wasting your time. I'm out. You must be gay. I was like, whatever. I'm trying to save you from me, you know? So, so I never understood that. So any ladies that are listening, don't say that to a man. That's very, especially when he's trying to do right. That's like, that's just ridiculous. So,
wow, that's
the Magic Johnson thing shut me down. Changed everything for me.
Hey, real quick, can we get these cameras right? This is annoying as all get out. Like Daniel's D's all low, Mike is way up high. Can you probably Mike maybe lower yours, or can we get that right?
That better?
A little bit closer to D's. There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
I won't give you my doctor composition, but go ahead. See all this extra space? See all this extra space up here?
But I'd rather
show, man. You're the producer.
I would rather have that, but I'd rather us. If we all, we all go. Hey, you already know this. So now this is another topic. So we was writing some bad code at work, and the guy was like, "Well, I'd rather have consistently bad code than write some new code and it no longer be consistent." So if we gonna be wrong, we all gonna be wrong together.
Let me
be wrong together.
We're gonna write bad code no matter what. So yeah, okay, that's fine. That's a good statement. My first thought process was like, no, don't write no bad code, but we do write bad code, so it should all be bad the same. Okay, I'm with you.
Exactly. Consistently across the board. It's uniform. You ain't gonna have like good code mixed with bad code. Now it really looks like a crappy application. So if we gonna have our composition on the top of our head bad, let us be uniform and let us all have this big space above our head.
I bow to you. I capitulate.
Well, at least you didn't say copulate, so I'm good.
Well, okay. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Hey, this is the male perspective.
Well, yeah, I'm now you thinking I want to do my own show because I got some other stuff I want to say, but I'm just following your lead, right? I got some things I want to say to the ladies.
You know what?
Yeah.
We can just pick that topic and we can roll with it.
All right. If you got questions, I got answers.
Hey, I know you do.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been on for a little while now. Doesn't look like I see any questions out there in the group. So we may catch some later. Again, you all are catching this show. This was the male perspective. We had D.Lyel of Muscle House Fitness, Michael McGee. What was that website again?
ProfitDreamer.com or Big Muddy, like mud, muddyfishing.com.
Cool. And D.Lyel, shout out your info.
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms at D.Lyel Fitness or Omaha Muscle House on Twitter. It's different though. It's Muscle House Omaha OMA. And then website is musclehousefitnesscenter.com, musclehousefitnesscenter.com. We're located on 2660 North 72nd. We'll be opening up again in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks at the earliest.
Hey.
But we're about to get back in here and get to these games, y'all. Got to get back in and get to these games. Hey, truth be told, the best cure to the whole COVID situation is a healthy body. So we got to get back to getting people healthy, y'all.
Man, you don't know what this. I was going to the gym every other day. I had reached my. I was about 5 pounds off what my doctor wanted me to be. Man, it was looking good. Got stuck at home, and them Kit Kats and them them donuts caught up with me. Now I got to go back and start over. Not really. I'm still down, but man, I put on 10 pounds.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Mike, looks like you got somebody that's confirming like you need your own show, man.
Who's that?
They put it in the comments. You need your own show.
What's the name of the person? Do I know them?
Her name is Takara. I don't think you know her.
No.
but
No,
she's in the
I,
right. She's in.
I appreciate that. I can talk, I,
Yeah, you
I
can.
mean, to be honest, someone prophesized over me. And that's a whole nother topic because usually that stuff I don't. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I hear you, but someone prophesized over my wife and told her that I was to be a pastor, and someone else prophesized over me and told me you're going to be able to reach people in a way that other people can't. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna reach them through fishing, So I when you're a nerd, you read a lot of books, man. So who else says words like capitulate? When they say when they say black men are articulate and we get offended. Oh, what does that mean?
Wow.
I'm articulate. I don't care.
That's more than articulate. That means That means you have an
Yeah, I
extensive
got a vocabulary.
vocabulary.
I've been told
Absolutely.
1,000 times you talk so white. I'm like I don't know what that means. I mean I just read a lot of books. I went to school. I don't know what that means, but I don't
Wow.
care. Yeah. I've embraced
I
my
love it.
geek. I've embraced my geek. I've embraced my nerd. I
I know wrong.
it's like, hey, would you rather me be on the corner, with my car shaking with bass, or would you rather me be taking care of my kids? Which one is it? I'm gonna be me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
That's good.
Hey,
That's good. Right.
when you embrace who you are, you can enjoy life so much better, man.
Oh man, yeah. It's so. Me and Tim were just talking about this before we came on. I'm not gonna say my age. I'm close to, 2/3 of my life is gone. I can't waste my time worried about stuff I can't change. You know what I mean? You
Man,
know,
for real.
I gotta get up every morning and raise two kids and take care of Miss McGee. She's number two, and you may be like number two. God's number one. She's number two. Kids are three, and who knows where I fall on the list. That's just what I do. You know.
I can dig it. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Spoken from the prophet.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Any last words? D, what you got?
Man, it's been a blessing, man, to talk to y'all. This is fun. This was exciting. Like I said, just because we're talking about spiritual name change, the key word of that is spiritual. That don't mean go out there and change your name. Talk about my name is some so and so. We go through our name change because that's us embracing our identities. Embracing who we become. Because if the only way that you can become who you say you are, you got to embrace it. So, just embrace it. But that don't mean you got to go out there and do it. Go out there and go through the whole court system process. You can just change your name.
Right. Right. That's good. That's good. Don't actually go and change and live up to the name. Embrace that identity that comes with the name. That's good. Mike, what you got? Last word.
Michael. Okay, so first I want to thank you. I've been knowing you for a bit since our plantation days on Dodge Street. You know what I mean? First, thank you for doing this. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I had been like saying, Tim, when you gonna let me on? Because I want to come on and act a fool, right? But then when you said, can you do it? I was like, dude, you want me to do it at 5:30? I got, that's right. That's right. When I'm getting out work and I got stuff to do, but I'm going to do it. Right. So I appreciate you letting me on. I hope you will have me back. I got some things I want to say.
Absolutely.
But here's what I say to people is, man, follow that scripture Jesus said about love, because when he changes your name, he's talking about, he's just not changing your name because he doesn't like your name. He's changing your name because he's changing your character. And just start off simple. When you go to say good morning to people, when people say good morning to you, don't just walk by them. Now we say, how are you? And we just say, we grunt and we keep walking. Love thy neighbor as yourself. During this whole COVID-19 or coronavirus, whatever we're calling it, I went and I hate to tell people because I don't want to tell people what I'm doing to take God's glory, right? But I had a bunch of toilet paper, and I asked people, do you need some toilet paper? And when I mean neighbors, I mean next door neighbors, the neighbors that live next door to me. So don't just change your name, change your character, and love thy neighbor as thyself. If I could preach one message, it would be love thy neighbor as thyself. That would be my message. I would do it. I would do it every Sunday if I could.
And you know, to piggyback on that, if you don't mind, is it okay if I piggyback on that?
Yeah, piggyback, ride
All
it.
right. All right. So think about it like this, man. You have mentioned you don't know where you fall in line in the order of things. And you got to fall in right behind God, man, because the
Yeah,
truth of the matter is this, man. If you were, when you get on a flight, think about it like this. When you get on a flight, when they're going through their safety instructions, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first so that way you can save somebody else, right?
yeah,
So if you love if you love God, what I'm saying, if you love God, if you want to put, keeping that commandment in place, you want to put God first, of course, and say love thy neighbor as thyself. That means that you actually have to love yourself
yeah. That's
because
true. That's
you
implied
can't
there.
love
Yeah,
your neighbor, right?
yeah,
You cannot love your neighbor if you don't love yourself, or
yeah.
the love that you have for yourself. If you love your neighbor as thyself, that means that if you don't value yourself, if you don't care about yourself, then the value that you have for your neighbor is gonna be null and void.
I think that I
Mm.
would love that we just had another show just about this because I've studied this. The whole thing is crazy because he says he's trying to be slick and he's like, well, who is my neighbor? And he starts telling him the story about the Samaritan. And people got to
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
Jews Jews hate Samaritans. There's no such
yep.
thing as that's an oxymoron. There's no good Samaritan to a Jew. So he picks the
No,
worst
no.
person that they hate to make that example. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to get into that because we'll be here for another hour. But yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's deep, though.
That's
That's deep.
good.
yeah.
Ooh, ooh.
Mhm.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just to wrap it up again for those who are still watching, this was the male perspective. This is where we talk about sex, spirituality, and entrepreneurship from the
Yeah.
male perspective. Again, this is coming out of the group Acquiring Vision. You might ask, well, why are we talking about this in a group called Acquiring Vision? Because your perspective is going to control your vision. So if you don't understand your perspective, your perception, the vision that you will acquire can definitely have you in a place, in an environment that's completely out of alignment with your identity and your name. So you must get that perspective right. You must understand your identity, and then you must write the vision, make it plain so that when you read it, you can execute. And on that note, we are out of here.
Peace out, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peace out.
Yeah.
Let's do this again for sure.
Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
sir.
I concur
Yes,
with that.
sir.
This is another Infosol production.